Let's go back to the example that reads name from an input file and take a more detailed look at the scanner class. The method is displayed here. As discussed, a scanner breaks its input into tokens using some delimiters, usually white spaces. In this example, the scanner object, input, is being associated with an input file. Scanner can actually consider input of various types. In fact, scanner is commonly used to take inputs entered using the keyboard from the console. This is often referred to as standard input. Let's modify this method so that instead of taking input from a file, the input will be entered from the console. The name of the method is changed from read student name from file to read names from console. Instead of creating a scanner object for an input file, the scanner object is now being associated with the standard input stream, system.in. When inputting from a file, the conditions for ending the for loop is when next line is false, that is, no more next line. In the case of console input, it cannot be determined when the user would stop making additional input. So here, a while loop is used, which is a condition that is set to always true. Inside the loop, the condition for breaking out of the loop is when an empty string is entered. Notice that the method equals for the string class is used instead of the equal operator, because the logical equal won't work properly even if two strings look exactly the same. Similar to reading from an input file, the next line method is called for the scanner object, input, to read in an entire line, but in this case, it's from the console instead of an input file, and the result is assigned to the string variable, input name. If the input line is not an empty string, it will be printed out on the console together with a student count, n students. Notice that a variable, n students, is declared before entering the loop for keeping track of the number of students. Notice also that there's no need to close the standard input. You may be wondering what is the difference between the input methods that we have been using from the I/O class, such as input string, input integer, and input double, and the scanner class that we are discussing here. Actually, I/O is a wrapper class for the standard input and output methods. Inside the definition of I/O class, a scanner object is created, and the corresponding methods are called for different type of inputs. We have created the I/O class for you because it was difficult to explain the scanner object at the beginning of the course when you have not been introduced any basic concepts on classes and objects. The I/O class also has some additional features that could take input in the form of a barcode, and later in this lecture, you'll see that the input could also be obtained through optical character recognition. From now on, you can continue to use the I/O class, or if you want, you can switch back to system.in for standard input or system.out for output. Let's take a look at a quick demo of the program. So here is the method that we have just discussed. You can compile the program, there's no error. If you run the program by creating an instance of the object, and then call the method read names from console, you can see the console window here. If you enter some names, for example, tcpong, the output, student number 0, tcpong is being displayed. Let's enter another name, Liu Feng and Tony Feng. These are your favorite TAs. And then if you just hit return, that means an empty string. You can see that the program stopped. Let's modify the program a little bit so that instead of using the method equals, let's change this to the equal operator. It compiled without any problem, and create an instance again, run the same method, and let's enter the same set of input here, tcpong. It seems to work fine for the same set of input. Now let's try to terminate the program by just entering return or an empty string. Well, the program continues to ask for additional input. This is because the comparison here resulted in false, although both are supposed to be empty strings. The program here has entered into an infinite loop. We have to terminate the program by resetting the virtual machine. Now the program stopped. The equal operator didn't work because string is a reference type. That is, the addresses of where these strings are located are compared, rather than the value of the strings. This is like comparing London in UK and London in Canada. Although they both call London, their locations are different. So the method equals, instead of the logical equal operator, should be used in comparing strings.